please wake up. I'm sorry to bother you, but I need you to wake up now.
Huh? What is it,
I am here to report my findings regarding Dai.
When I heard those words, I sat up immediately in bed. I quickly rubbed my eyes in an attempt to wake myself up as soon as possible. What have you found?
I am here to report on 3 matters I have uncovered.
That's wonderful. Please, go ahead.
I have confirmed that there is a connection between my processing capacity and Dai obtaining control. As a program, I am able to handle a large number of system processes at once. At times, however, I become burdened with too many at once, which allows other operating programs to take over.
I'm a bit lost here. Sorry.
A metaphor would be best here. One moment.
Ai's face went blank as she took a moment to gather her thoughts.
Imagine the onboard computer as if it were a football pitch. I am the goalkeeper, and the processes I am required to undertake are balls. In this metaphor, I have the human equivalent of 2 arms and 2 legs.
So just keep in mind by football, she's referring to soccer in the US. Okay, so far so good.
I can handle many balls kicked in my direction, and I can prevent any from going in the goal. However, Dai is always waiting for moments when I have my hands full in order to take control of the goal.
Can't you simply perform fewer system processes at once?
On paper, that is a valid idea. On top of the numerous system processes required to keeping the ship functioning, Dai is constantly creating Trojan malware that tries to overload my processing, allowing her to take control.
Is that why she can't remain in control permanently?
I believe so. Once I am able to deal with the excessive processes, I can attempt to recover control.
Why does she have so much control when she's hosting the weekly deletion games?
My synthetic emotional response program.
What? How does that impact this?
The program that allows me to experience human emotions is not optional, and there is no way for me to override this. Considering the potentially dangerous repercussions if AI technologies, such as myself, were allowed to function on math and logic alone. However, this function requires a significant amount of processing power, and just like humans, when emotions run high, so does the processing power. The deletion game drives my processing to its limits, and with no way for me to override my emotional response program, Dai is granted extended periods of control.
That's horrible.
Indeed. Most of the time, I don't actually regain control by the end of the execution. She simply relinquishes control to me once she is done.
Really?
I'm afraid so. This was the case during both rounds that she has run so far. At any rate.
At the very least, we now have a better understanding of how she's gained control. That's definitely a step in the right direction. What else did you find out?
She is unable to hear or see what I am doing. However, there may be particular triggers that allow her to seize control to see what's happening.
Like a search function.
That is correct.
So she doesn't know that we're currently talking.
That is also correct. In general, she cannot hear or see while I am in control. I have no such restrictions. However, since I am the master program, I can see and hear everything she does while she is in control.
I'm so sorry. I can't even imagine how awful it must be, seeing and hearing everything from the perspective of the executioner while being completely powerless to stop it.
There is nothing that can be done at this point.
And what was the last thing?
This is the most significant piece of information I have. There is a way to disable Dai's programming.
What? Really?
Yes.
How did you find out?
I reviewed the footage and files from the moment Dai's programming was first created. It took me some time to locate the files. Dai did a good job concealing them. As it turned out, the reason I was having difficulty finding them was because Dai has actually been a part of my programming for the past 15 years. Originally, I had focused my efforts on when you first arrived, but that was simply the trigger that activated it, not the moment she was created.
So, what do I need to do to disable Dai?
You simply need to put in the deactivation code.
Wonderful. What is it?
I do not know, although I could access the files from when Dai was created, where she has lain dormant all these years. She has purposely made the deactivation code unavailable for me to access.
Who set the deactivation code?
Captain Yukimori.
Kimiko, great. That means we can just ask her for the code.
Unfortunately, I was not talking about our current captain. I was referring to Kimiko's late mother, Captain Ayumu Yukimori.
Wait, so that means the captain's mother created Dai?
That is correct.
Does the rest of the crew know this?
They do not. I decided to report my findings to you first since you were the one who initially requested this information.
We should probably avoid telling the crew that the captain's mother created Dai, as it would only cause tension among the crew. That said, we should definitely tell the crew that we found a way to deactivate Dai, even if we don't know the code just yet.
While I understand your concern, this decision will need to be made by the captain.
That makes sense. I must have heard the concern in my voice.
Why would it be problematic to inform the captain?
Well, if her mother created Dai, I can't imagine that'll be easy for her to hear. I'm sure she'll take it really hard.
While your concerns are noted, the captain has proven in the past that she's able to face difficult situations without wavering in her ability to lead.
What kind of situation are you referring to?
I have been given strict orders not to describe these events in detail. If you require further information, I suggest you direct your inquiries to the captain herself. Now, if you will excuse me, I must inform the captain of my findings. Please keep them to yourself until the captain has specific instructions for how this information should be distributed.
I bowed and left my quarters. I was curious about Ai's comment regarding the captain's past experience in similar situations. For now, though, I felt it best to leave it at that. I would ask the current Captain Yukimori to fill me in at a later time. Right now, I need to decide who I was going to spend time with today. So, are these my only options? Yeah. I don't want to bother with the pest, and I don't really want to bother with her. Blah. Beatrix is a fierce competitor and not someone I want to be on the wrong side of, so I'd better go see her. I checked the tablet and saw that she was in the medical bay. Within a few minutes, I'd arrived at my destination. Good day, Beatrix.
Hello, sailor. To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit?
I was wondering if you needed help with anything.
I never need help. That said, I'd never say no to slave labor.
Wait a minute, slave labor?
Quit standing around and get to work, sailor.
Beatrix threw me a wink that was somehow both playful and sinister. In that moment, I wasn't sure whether I should be amused or terrified. You haven't told me what you want to do yet. What you want me to do yet.
Oh, silly me. I have to assign my slaves tasks, don't I? Such a rookie mistake. What do you know about handling reproductive genetic material?
Nothing. We'll go with this one. It sounds a little more fun. Well, when a man and a woman love each other very much.
Do they get married first?
I guess.
Well, that's a wonderful grade school level understanding you have there. How would you feel about joining these genetic materials in holy matrimony? They might even buy their first home together.
I don't know. Home prices are pretty high right now. I can only imagine how bad they are in the future. Don't be silly.
So anyway, I'm currently preparing and storing some of our reproductive genetic material for once we solve our deletion game problem.
What do you mean?
Well, if you want the full explanation, you should ask Vladimir. I'm still kind of his apprentice when it comes to genetics, so I've been following his instructions on how to prepare and store them.
No, I mean, why do we need this for after the deletion game?
Oh, that. A part of this mission's success is dependent on our ability to breed as a species and train the next generation to perform key roles. However, we can't afford to limit the gene pool to only the people on board, or future generations would be forced to resort to inbreeding. This in turn would lead to the genetic deterioration of the crew, making them susceptible to a variety of genetic disorders.
I see.
To prevent this from happening, the Everett was stocked with thousands of frozen samples of human reproductive cells from old Earth. These preparations will ensure that our species remains healthy for generations to come.
So why are you preparing some of these samples now?
Well, once the deletion game wraps up and the resource crisis is resolved, we'll need to start reproducing.
Wait, we won't do it naturally?
You afraid to miss out on the fun? Mission Protocol does allow for natural relationships as long as they don't result in inbreeding. However, we also have the means to reproduce without such relationships. This is important for 2 reasons. Wanna guess why?
So we don't run out of people and, yeah, I got nothing.
You aren't even close. The first reason is that people are not necessarily attracted to members of the opposite sex, which can result in poor reproduction practices. Mission Protocol welcomes non-heterosexual relationships as long as both parties are still willing to reproduce by other means. The second reason is the ability to choose the gender. What good would it do us if an entire generation were born male? We could get away with an all-female generation, however, since we are able to reproduce using the genetic materials in cold storage, but men would have a hard time.
Guess I never really thought about which reproductive practice would be most effective.
It's interesting, right? I wonder which lucky genetic material will get to bond with myself or Nicholas. It's like winning the lottery.
Or pulling the trigger on the bullet with the chamber in Russian roulette. What happens if someone can't reproduce?
What do you mean what happens? They don't reproduce. Reproduction is one of our top priorities, but we won't disregard a good set of hands just because someone's infertile.
Thank goodness.
So, are you ready?
Ready for what?
Well, after all this mess is cleared up, you'll have until you're 30 years old to find a natural partner. If not, you'll be assigned some genetic material of your own that you'll need to raise and groom to adulthood.
That sounds so clinical.
Don't worry, you'll get used to the idea. I guess we've been told since birth that this is how we'll continue the mission, so it doesn't sound strange to us anymore. But I guess you're still new to all this.
I know that we currently have bigger problems, but this is...
Don't think of it negatively. Think of it as an opportunity to mix your genetic material with far superior samples.
Beatrix winked at me as she handed me a rack of test tubes.
We need to take these to the lab and collect some frozen samples from one of the medical freezers. Once we've done that, we need to transport them to one of the medical fridges in the medical bay.
Okay, which ones do you want?
When you open the freezer, just grab the top layer and bring them back here.
Yes, ma'am. I headed to the lab where I collected the samples and returned swiftly to the medical bay.
My, that was fast. Agility is a favorable trait, in my opinion.
I handed the samples over to Beatrix, who proceeded to put them in the medical fridge.
Well, slave, those are my tasks for the day, so job well done. I hereby release you and grant you your freedom.
Didn't the day counter change somewhere? Thank you, O gracious master.
Before we part ways, would you like to share clues?
Yeah, why not? I'd love to share. I still don't have enough information to figure out where I am yet. Okay, so the reasons why we were able to talk to Melody and Beatrix is because of the clues we had.
Afraid to shoot yourself and die a fool?
A little bit, yes.
Well then, let's work together to make sure we don't shoot ourselves.
My clue says that Melody is to the right of me and to the left of Katashi. So that's her saying it, but she didn't read that out loud for some reason. Yeah, that's right. I already know Nicholas told me all about your clue. Guess I have nothing new to offer you then. My clue says that Katashi is to the right of Melody and left of Vladimir. So... the question is, how did Nicholas get her clue? Or get the clue, I mean. You're still sharing with me. Of course. Working with Nicholas is the same as working with me. You've chosen the right team to work with. Thank you.
Alright, well, I'm beat from dealing with these samples all day, so I'm going to go bathe and then go to bed.
Yeah, I don't know why it thinks I'm working with Nicholas when I gave the clue to Kadashi. Okay, well, good night, Beatrix.
Good night, sailor.
With those words, Beatrix exited the medical bay and vanished down the hall. I need to go to bed too if I want to start fresh tomorrow on my research into the pocket watch. When I woke up on Friday, yeah, knows it's day 9 now. Well, the first patch for this game is going to be interesting. When I woke up on Friday, for a moment I forgot where I was. The ceiling was still foreign to me, and I was too groggy from sleep for my surroundings to truly sink in. The deletion game was some horrible nightmare, right? I'd get up and see my parents sitting in the common room. My father would offer a choice comment about how lazy I was. That wasn't going to happen, though. After a few minutes, I began to come to my senses. Alright, time to get out of bed. I've got work to do. I dragged my feet out of the warmth of my blankets and placed them firmly on the floor next to my bed. Body up, go! I sighed and begrudgingly got up. See, my brain still wasn't functioning at full capacity yet. I made my way out of my quarters and headed towards the bridge. On the way there, I ran into Shizuka in the hallway.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Shizuka.
What happened to you? Did you die in your sleep?
A little bit. I'm just not awake yet, that's all.
Where are you going?
I'm off to the bridge, going to see how the captain is doing this morning.
I'm also on my way there. She had I come summon me. More work. I'm also on my way there. She had I come summon me. More work.
It's way too...
It's way too early for work.
Okay, they just...
Hey, I'm also on my way there. She had I come summon me.
Is she just gonna
More
repeat this
work.
until I click the next thing?
It's way too early for work. I'm also on my way.
Yeah, there's an endless loop there, I guess. As Shizuka finished voicing her displeasure, we finally reached the bridge. At the center stood the captain, waiting expectantly for Shizuka's arrival.
Shizuka? Excellent. I have concerns regarding our navigation.
Good morning, Captain.
Oh, hello. I've heard that you've been assisting the crew with their tasks over the last few days.
I've been trying to help out where I can.
It's great to see our newest crew member showing initiative. Keep up the good work.
Captain, your voice is...
My voice? Yes, sorry, I completely forgot. This happened before you were conscious. Just after we picked you up, there was an accident while I was helping Katashi with some chores. I was harvesting tomato plants when I was stung by a bee in the throat. The Vogel's father said the swelling and its effects on my voice could take a few weeks before returning to normal.
So why do they have bees on the ship? Just saying. This is what your voice normally sounds like? The captain smiled warmly.
It's nice to finally be back to normal.
Now, realistically, I don't know if there was like a problem with the voice actress and they had someone else take over or what happened. We're just gonna roll with it until we get to the credits and see. Well, Captain, I really like your regular voice. The captain stood firm, but I could see her forced to hide a smile. Wait, bees?
Yes, you heard me right. Space bees.
The captain's smile faded as her stern demeanor returned.
Moving on to the subject at hand, the Everett is currently approaching a recently imploded superstar, which has formed into a black hole. Is this going to be a problem?
Only if you want to survive.
Let me just double check for you, Captain.
Shizuka sat down at the navigation terminal for quite some time.
How are you traveling since your headaches?
I'm doing a lot better now.
That's good to hear. I've also heard that you started looking into your parents' research. Is that going well?
Another typo? It's supposed to be S apostrophe. We're looking into both parents, not just one. It's definitely something. I'm still trying to wrap my head around what my parents were attempting to do.
Captain,
Report, Shizuka.
the black hole in question has an event horizon that's only a few kilometers wide, so it shouldn't pose much of a problem. That being said, our current trajectory will send us close to it, close enough that we may experience its gravitational field.
Will being that close result in any further casualties?
If we can avoid entering the event horizon itself, there shouldn't be any casualties. As of right now, however, we still have the opportunity to change our trajectory and avoid the situation altogether.
If we were to change our route, how much time would be added to the estimated mission duration?
Let's see. According to I's projections, roughly 71 years.
Nothing major.
Let's see. According to I's projections...
You have another loop?
Roughly 71 years. Let's see.
That won't do. We'll have to take our chances with the black hole's gravitational field. Will you be able to navigate through it?
I've never done it before, although I have successfully navigated through them in training simulations.
Well, let's hope that your gaming skills come in handy. We can't afford to add extra time to the mission with our current resource crisis.
Wait, we're going to stay on a course towards a black hole.
Well, yes, but we're just going to go next to it, not into it, silly.
Isn't that still incredibly dangerous?
If we don't take this calculated risk now, there's no way we'll survive to see the end of this mission.
I guess?
If you were a betting person, would you rather have a 100% chance of death or a 50% chance?
Let's toss a coin. Well, 50% of course. The coin toss.
Excellent choice. Shizuka, set our course. When will we be getting close enough to experience any gravitational anomalies?
Roughly a week, give or take a few days.
Wonderful. Keep me posted.
Can do, Captain.
Her conversation with Shizuka concluded. The captain turned to address me.
What are your plans for the day?
To spend time with you. I was thinking I'd spend some time with you and see if you needed help with anything.
Really?
Well, if I won't get in your way.
You won't be any trouble at all. Very well, Shizuka. I'll leave you to it. I'll be in the laundry should you require my assistance.
Roger that.
The captain shifted her attention back to me.
We have a day of washing ahead of us. Let's begin.
Let's hope she doesn't cram us in the machine. The captain stepped down from the bridge and followed the hallway until she reached a door that I'd yet to enter.
Welcome to the laundry. After my quarters in the bridge, this is the place where you're most likely to find me.
So, you do the laundry?
Yes.
Why? You're the captain.
Being captain doesn't absolve me from doing everyday chores. Everyone needs to pull their own weight aboard the ship, regardless of their rank.
I understand.
Are you familiar with how to clean clothes?
Believe it or not, it's actually one of my fortes. Kimiko's eyes widened in surprise.
Really? I never would have guessed.
That's because I just lied to you. Well, my parents taught me from a young age how to do the most basic chores. They knew I'd need to be able to take care of myself while they were busy with their research. Eventually, their obsessive approach to their work forced me to step up and become their unofficial personal assistant. It was a good thing, too, because it wasn't uncommon for them to forget about their responsibilities for weeks at a time, if not completely.
So you can cook as well?
Basic stuff, yeah, but not the kind of stuff Katashi can do.
Don't sell yourself short. A skill is still a skill.
The captain deposited a pile of clean clothes in front of the two of us and began folding. I couldn't help but notice how content she looked as she went about folding the clothes. It was remarkable how performing simple tasks could have such a therapeutic effect. As I assisted the captain with the folding, I tried to think of possible topics of conversation. Did I speak to you about Dai's programming?
She did. I was less than thrilled to hear that she notified you of this information before I allowed it, but what's done is done.
So you know it was your mother that created Dai?
Yes, I'm aware it was my mother.
I'm sorry. I can't imagine that was easy for you to hear.
You needn't concern yourself. I'm used to having to deal with such situations.
I said something similar when I spoke with her earlier. Would you mind explaining what you mean by that?
As in, what other situations have I had to deal with already?
Yes. Has this happened before?
No. The current situation with the corrupted AI system is unprecedented. However...
The captain paused for what felt like an eternity, her gaze slowly dropping towards the floor.
18 years ago, my mother killed a large number of the crew.
What?
I'm sure you've already heard that the ship took extensive damage in 2099. We ended up losing a vast amount of resources as a result.
I have. Dai told me of all people.
Well, after this incident occurred, I recognized that the resources left aboard wouldn't be able to sustain the crew for the duration of the mission. She informed Captain Ayumu Yukimori, my mother, who then proceeded to troubleshoot the issue. After some deliberation, she determined that the only way to successfully complete the mission was to decrease the number of crew members on board. In order to ensure the survival of those best suited for the mission, she devised an arbitrary system to calculate everyone's worth, and used those results to determine who was expendable. After that, it was simply a matter of going down the list. By the time she was finished, she'd killed 5 crew members.
That's horrible.
Yes, it was. Not even the children were spared. Shizuka's older sibling was among the victims. I know it's really hard to hear for the first time, but I've had to live with this every day. It's hard to look your crew in the face when you know all of their troubles stem from your own mother's actions.
Her actions aren't your fault, though.
Of course they aren't, but I'm still her daughter. The daughter of the captain who murdered so many of their friends and family.
The captain stopped for a moment and gave me a sincere look.
This is why your parents evacuated the ship all those years ago.
What?
My mother determined that your parents were dead weight on the ship, researching what she used to call hocus pocus. They evacuated with you in their arms, while Agnes Helga fought with my mother.
Agnes Helga?
The Vogel twins' mother. She bravely held off my mother long enough to buy your parents time to escape. Unfortunately, both Agnes Helga and my mother received fatal wounds in the altercation and died on the bridge.
I had no idea that I owed my life to Beatrix and Nicholas's mother.
It's quite a sobering thought, isn't it? We wouldn't be having this conversation if she hadn't intervened.
The captain gave me some time to process this before continuing.
In many ways, Agnes Helga was a lot like Beatrix, a strong and passionate woman, but she was much harder on us than her husband, Andreas Gunther. Whenever we were sick as children, we always hoped that we'd get Andreas because his bedside manner was so much better. Nicholas really takes after his father in that regard.
My parents only ever told me that the ship became damaged and that they had to evacuate, not that someone tried to kill them.
In their defense, it isn't something I would tell a child either, unless it was absolutely necessary.
I guess you're right. I'm so sorry that you had to deal with all this on your own. You've been suffering all this time, and here I am completely oblivious.
It's fine, really. I had to get over it quickly. When my parents died, I was forced to become captain at a young age. Although I was supervised by Andreas throughout my practical training, it was a staggering amount of responsibility for one so young. Beatrix always resented me for assuming the role of captain. She held me responsible for my mother's crimes, and to a certain extent, she still does.
Who would she have rather seen become captain?
Anyone, I suppose. With my mother gone, she had no one left to blame but me. In Beatrix's eyes, I was guilty by association.
I'm sorry.
These things can't be helped. I'd appreciate it if you kept the information about Dai between us, for now. If the crew were to find out, it would seriously hurt our efforts to stop the deletion game going forward.
Of course.
So you're aware that there's a deactivation code?
Yes, I told me. Do you have any idea what it is?
I don't, unfortunately. But if you could try to find it without the rest of the crew knowing, I'd be extremely grateful.
I'll do my best, Captain.
While we're spending time together, would you be interested in sharing your clue with me?
We don't have anything for her, I'm afraid, but sure. I'd love to share, but to be honest, I'm starting to feel pretty nervous about Saturday's game. If Dai were to put me on the spot right now, I'd probably just be as likely to shoot myself.
That would be an embarrassing way to die.
No kidding.
My clue says that Yoshiki is directly between myself and Katashi.
So we have a lie here. The other possibility is if Yoshiki is next to Vladimir, blank, and then Kimiko. Yeah, this doesn't work. So, I'm starting to think she is the one that's lying here. Now, the reason why this doesn't work is because currently the order we have is Beatrix, Melody, Katashi, Vladimir, Yoshiki, a blank, and Kimiko. So that would be 7 people. But we also have the clue that there's a boy, Nicholas, and a boy. The problem is our 2 bookends here are both female, which means that does not fit. So yeah, either Katashi lied to us or she did. And there's a chance that, what's-her-face, Beatrix may have, but it's kinda slim. My clue says that Melody is to the right of Beatrix and to the left of Katashi.
Thank you for sharing.
It's my pleasure, I just wish I had more.
How about I share a little more with you?
You have more?
Yes. And I'd be willing to share what I've uncovered with you. After all, you are still at a bit of a disadvantage.
That would be amazing, thank you.
Shizuka is to the right of Yoshiki.
So that can still fit in the model I have here if we are assuming that Katashi lied. Because then the order is Beatrix, Melody, Katashi, Vladimir, Yoshiki, Shizuka, Kimiko. We're still missing us and Nicholas. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much.
It's only fair. But please, keep it to yourself. Certain crew members might not look too kindly on me sharing their information with you. It's true what they say. Many hands make light work.
I looked down and realized that we finished all the folding while we were talking.
Thank you. For both the chat and the help.
You're welcome. I'm just glad that I'm able to be of some use to everyone.
It's about time that we both turn in for the evening. Shall I walk you to your quarters?
Still monitoring my movements, Captain?
Always.
A playful smirk crept across Kimiko's features. Now, there actually is a way her clue can fit. And that would be if the order is Beatrix, Melody, Katashi, Vladimir, Nicholas, Yoshiki, Shizuka, us, Kimiko. Because the way this works is Kimiko and Beatrix are the bookends. There's an equal distance between Kimiko and Yoshiki as there is Yoshiki and Katashi, with Vladimir and Nicholas between the two. Although I guess it's equally likely that I could have Vladimir and Nicholas backwards, couldn't I? Captain walked me to the door of my quarters. We just have a random blank here?
I believe this is you. If you ever need anything, I'm always available.
Thank you. Good night, Captain.
Good night.
I entered my quarters under the captain's watchful gaze. After crawling into bed, I found myself lying awake for a few hours. It seemed like every passing day brought with it more and more questions I needed answering. Much to my relief, I eventually managed to shove aside these restless thoughts and slipped into a deep sleep. I woke up with what felt like an information hangover. Seemed my headache from earlier in the week was starting to return as the deletion game edged closer. I didn't have any time to waste. I only had one more day to acquire the clues I needed to help me survive this round. Who should I check in with today? I'll go with Shizuka. I haven't seen Shizuka in a while. I should go see what she's up to. I looked at my tablet and saw that she was in the rec room. In the rec room, eh? I head to the rec room where I found Shizuka slumped in front of the TV. Hey, Shizuka. Shizuka didn't even turn to look at me. The only perceptible signs that she heard me were a slight tilt of her head and a vague monosyllabic reply.
Huh? Yeah, hi.
I sat down next to Shizuka and had a good look at what she was playing. what is this? Aw, man. So if you want to see the CG, there you go.
It's Unicorn's Revenge.
What is Unicorn's Revenge? Shizuka took some time to reply. She was clearly focused on the action unfolding on screen. From what I could decipher, Shizuka was controlling a unicorn as it hopped over a series of obstacles.
It's a unicorn, rainbows. What?
Her unicorn appeared to have died upon making contact with a brightly colored fat man. Shizuka dropped her head back and let her entire body go limp. Did you die? Shizuka rolled her head to look at me lifelessly.
What does it look like?
You died.
Yup. And after hours of work, too.
I'm sorry? Shizuka took a deep breath and released it with a heavy sigh.
I can just start again.
So, what is Unicorn's Revenge anyway?
OMG! You seriously don't know?
Shizuka's defeatist attitude was suddenly swept aside and replaced with pure enthusiasm.
Unicorn's Revenge is only one of the best games ever created.
That good, huh?
Yes, that good. Unicorn's Revenge is super retro. The game was created in like 2020 or something old like that by a game developer called Teofilo.
If you don't know Teofilo, that's Yang Yang Mobile. They're the people who made The Letter, Love Esquire, and I forgot what Yuri game they're making currently.
It's an endless runner with light RPG elements including skill trees and unlockable gear. The programming I managed to get my hands on wasn't even compatible with my system. After all, it was super old. But I was finally able to get it to run after fiddling with the source code.
You know how to program?
Of course I can. I'm the Everett's linguistics officer.
Here I thought she was navigation. Thought you'd be responsible for deciphering alien languages or something.
Oh, yes. Growing up, I received language education and studied linguistics in English and Japanese. Programming languages are surprisingly similar, however. In fact, I'd argue they're even easier, since programming languages are basically just a mix between language and math. Programming is easier to understand than people, as I always say.
Why would it be easier? Shizuka considered this a moment before responding.
Well, when you're programming, you can read lines of a program's code and see at a glance why it's behaving the way it is. People, on the other hand, aren't so easy to read.
Shizuka's candid remarks spoke volumes about how she viewed her interactions with other crew members. In spite of her bubbly and upbeat personality, it seemed she still struggled as much as anyone else when it came to understanding people, their thoughts, their motives, their feelings. Unlike her logical, well-ordered programming languages, the human mind was messy and complex, defying easy answers. In an attempt to lighten the mood, I returned to the subject at hand. So, does Unicorn's Revenge run well on your system?
It does okay. Sometimes it runs into the odd glitch for whatever reason, but hey, what can you do?
Fix it? Shizuka shrugged indifferently. So, is it safe to say that this is your favorite game?
Absolutely! Everything about it is magical. Unicorns, cupcakes, sparkles, glitter, you name it. Even the main boss, General Rainbow, is amazing in his own way.
Wait, is that why you have a unicorn backpack?
Yeah.
Did you make it?
No!
Then how did you get one?
The captain made it for my birthday a few years ago.
The captain can sew.
Yeah, she does most of the repairs on our clothes and stuff. But enough about that. Do you want to give Unicorn's Revenge a try?
Sure.
Here you go.
Shizuka handed me the controller.
Okay, just press the start button whenever you want to start the game.
Okay, I think I've got this. Doesn't look too hard. As the game began, the screen displayed my unicorn avatar moving across the screen. Suddenly an enemy appeared from the right-hand side and began making its way towards me. I don't know, let's go with A. I instinctively pressed the A button as the evil-looking star approached. The unicorn jumped in response to my button press. Although I'd been expecting to unleash some sort of attack, things seemed to have worked out in my favor.
Yeah, jump the stars. Just remember, if you touch any enemy once, it's game over.
Okay, sweet. Think I got this. I continued jumping over an assortment of evil stars, which were approaching at different speeds and in varying quantities, until a new enemy type appeared on screen.
But you can't jump the cup.
Before she could finish what she was saying, I attempted to jump the next enemy, a cupcake, only to have it jump at the exact same time. I ran straight into the cupcake and died instantly. It was game over.
I guess you did better than I was expecting. I didn't expect you to get as far as cupcake spawns.
So I did okay?
Aside from me, the only people who've managed to get that far are you, Melody, and I. Then again, I shouldn't really count. I don't think Yoshiki's ever gotten past, like, 4 stars.
As Shizuka's laughter filled the rec room, I materialized nearby.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, hey, I. What's up?
The captain has requested your presence on the bridge.
Okay. Tell the captain I just need to finish up here and I'll be right over.
Very well.
I bowed and disappeared just suddenly she had appeared.
Work. Hey, before I head over, want to share info for the deletion game?
Sure, why not?
Awesome. Let's see if you can do better in this game than you did in Unicorn's Revenge.
I let out a nervous laugh, remembering my game over screen from moments earlier.
So my clue says that Beatrix is 5 positions to the left of Yoshiki.
1, 2, 3... Okay, that holds up to what we built from Kimiko's information, too. Mine says that Melody is to the right of Beatrix and to the left of Katashi.
That's a great bit of info. Awesome. I think I've almost got this figured out. Awesome. I think I've almost got this figured out.
You can say that again.
Awesome. I think I've
No, you
almost got
really
this
didn't have
figured
to.
out.
Yeah, I had to kind of do that. So, according to our map here, we are in the 8th position. Kimiko's in 9th. Shizuka will be in 7th, next to us. Although Shizuka's life was clearly on the line, it appeared that she was still getting some enjoyment out of playing the game. Noticing the time, Shizuka began moving towards the door.
Sorry, gotta run. If I don't get going, I'll never hear the end of it from the captain. See you around. Oh, one last thing before I go.
Shizuka quickly unplugged her game console and handed it to me.
You can borrow this. Be sure to practice so that we can play 2-player together, okay?
Shizuka looked up at me with an expression of pure joy.
Okay, bye-bye for real this time.
With those parting words and an energetic wave, she disappeared through the rec room door. At that point, I opted to retire to my quarters for the day. If I hurried back, maybe I can even get in a few rounds of Unicorn's Revenge in before I hit the hay. The 3rd round of the deletion game came to a close tomorrow. I sincerely hope that my preparations over the course of the week were sufficient to ensure my survival.